This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So in last meeting, we discussed about dialog box creation, right? Complete code we have written in job level. In runnable class, we have written everything, right? So today, I'm going to discussing about classes concept. So first of all, how to create a class and how to define methods inside the class and what are all the methods we will write. All these things we will discuss. After that, how to implement this piece of code. I mean, this dialog box related code, how we will implement in class level, that we will discuss. So first of all, I'm creating a class. Go to the add a new item. Go to the code. Now I'm taking a class. The class name I'm taking like new sample class. Okay. Just I have taken a class called new sample class. Now here, this area where the cursor is blinking, this area we can call it as a class declaration. For example, here I can declare the variables like a string, okay, like a integer, like this I can declare the variables. Now, I will create a few methods inside the class. Here also we can define like instance methods and the static methods. Okay, now I'm creating a method which is related to instance method like public void uh, public void get welcome. Okay, now here I'm just writing some piece of code. Already we have declared integer variable, right, in the class declaration itself. Now I can assign some value to the variable I equal to 10. Now I can print that value by using info statement %1. Like I can print the value and I'm just showing like welcome message even. Okay, so this is instance method. Okay, now coming to the static method. Now I'm declaring like public static void uh, get emp info. Already we have extended data type called employee ID, and I'm defining some variable. Okay, now here you cannot access uh, I variable here. Only the variables which is declared in the class declaration level, those variables we can only access in instance methods. Here we cannot access I variable. If you are defining, so the completely it will system will show an error message. We cannot access I variable here. If you want, you need to define separate variable, something like any other variable like integer, something like that variable you can use it. But whatever the variables we are declaring at a class declaration, those variables we cannot use in static method. Okay, fine. Now let me define emp table, emp loc, like I'm writing a select statement, select emp loc where emp loc dot emp id equal to underscore emp id, and I'm just writing %1 %2 emp loc dot emp id name. Just that's it. Now I have written two methods. One is instance method and one is a static method. Now the question is, how can we access this class, and how can we access this instance method and static method at outside? For example, let me open any job. Let me open the X++ introduction job. Now here, first of all, to access this method, in new sample class, first we need to define the class name. First we need to define the class name like new sample class, NSC equal to new sample. So this is the way we need to define the variable, object for the class. New sample class, the object name equal to new sample class. Okay. Now, if I want to call the method nsc dot get welcome, this is the method we have written inside that particular class. Okay. Now, suppose if I want to access this particular get emp info directly, let me comment this one, new sample class, use scope resolution operator, and you can get that particular get emp info, and we need to pass the like argument like 103 I'm passing. That's it.
I think
If you
we
execute
must
this
call,
particular,
I think we must call nsc dot get emp info, because we have created the object nsc here, and we are directly calling from simple class.
of course,
nsc
static methods we need to call like that.
Yeah.
If we have
So
a
we can,
instance method inside the class, if we have a instance method inside the class, for calling the instance method, we need to define the instance. I mean, this is object. Object is required to call the instance methods. If you want to call static methods, no need to define this line. No need to define object for the class. Directly, you can use class name, scope resolution operator, and the method name.
right.
The same scenario which we already followed for table level instance method and static method. Same scenario here also. Suppose I have written the same two methods inside the table. So when we are calling this method I have used it like this. See, emp loc dot get welcome code. And to call that static method directly, I'm using table name, table scope resolution operator, method name. The same way, but for class declaration, we need to define like this: new sample class. For a table, like this.
Okay.
Fine. So this is the way we need to implement methods inside the class. Suppose it is a normal class. Okay. In some classes, we may have contain main method. In some classes, sometimes we will have main method. So that is called runnable class. For example, this particular class having main method, so that we are calling this class is a runnable class. Am I right? This class we are calling as a runnable class. But in this particular class, we don't have a main method. So it is a normal class, non-executable class. If we have a main method, that class we should call it as a executable class. That class will execute by its own. We can set as a startup object and we can run the class. But for example, this is a sample, sorry, new sample class, right? Suppose I'm setting set as a startup object, and if I run the class, what kind of message will show? You just observe here. Cannot find methods with signature public static void main args on class new simple class, new sample class. This class cannot be executed because in this class we missed main method. If we have a main method, so that class can be execute. we can execute that class. In this class we don't have a main method. Simply these type of classes we will write for just writing some code, and whenever we required we just simply call the methods inside the methods of that particular class. That's it. Now, okay, this is one of the class, and this is the base rules for writing the classes. Now I will do one thing. Previously we have written this piece of code, I mean dialog box related piece of code, everything we have written in a normal like runnable class, right? Runnable job. Now I will write in a class new sample DLG class. Okay, here to working with the dialog boxes, first of all we have to use extends run base. So what I'm doing here, we are inheriting a run base class to our new sample DLG class. So what will happen? In runnable class, we will have methods. In every class, we have a methods. Those methods I can override here. I can call that particular methods. I can use that methods functionality in my class. Run base is a predefined framework class. It is a framework class. This run base class we can find in the AOT itself. If you go to the view, application explorer, code, classes, run base. This particular run base belongs to application platform model. In this run base, you can find there are number of methods will be there. These methods functionality I can able to use inside my new sample DLG class. Normally for developing dialog boxes, we will use this run base class. It is a system defined class. We should not alter methods inside the run base class. Okay, don't write the code in run base class. Simply We just need to use this class functionality whenever you require to develop a dialog box. That's it, simply.
Arjun, how to know that that dialog box belongs to run-based class?
Now I'm telling you, right? You just remember it. Because everything is already predefined, right? Everything, I mean, this kind of scenario is already defined in the system itself. Okay, most of the things I'll tell you, but how can I say that? How can I answer your question? How to know? There is no documentation really.
Okay, and can we inherit more than one classes like extend, run-based, comma, if I
No,
need to use?
no, not possible. Syntax is like this. In any
Okay,
other
means
technology, in any other technology, whatever the syntax you are saying is there.
yes, actually,
In which technology, in which programming technology you have seen that if you can inherit multiple
like
classes?
not inherit,
Yeah,
like
so,
like
Arjun,
in
there
VB.NET,
is a
just
concept of
Sanjay, just a second. Like in a VB.NET, at the top
Hmm.
of the code window, we type
Uh,
imports. So
hmm.
imports framework, imports Visual Basic dot interop. So imports is something that we write on the top of the class. So
Okay.
we can inherit
In this particular Dynamics 365, this is the basic syntax for inheriting a class methods for a particular class. Here,
means
my class,
yeah.
and this is the keyword, predefined keyword extends, and whatever the class methods you want to inherit in this particular, you want to override. Okay, you want to override. So that particular class name you need to mention here. Now, for example, if you right click on the, okay, here there is a insert override method. See, all these methods are coming from run base.
Means in a single class we can inherit only one system
One
based
class.
class.
Yes. For example,
Okay,
if I comment this one, okay,
right. I got it. Okay,
there is,
Sanjay, you can ask your question. I'm really sorry for this interruption.
but no, I got it. So, question was same. Can we inherit multiple class in a single class?
okay,
Got the
no,
answer.
okay, fine. So here we are currently we are implementing dialog box related code, right? So let me open that code already we have written in the runnable class. First of all, this piece of code, this particular dialog field code, I'm writing at class declaration level. Okay, class declaration level, and here I'm declaring two date variables because here we have defined two date variables here, right? So for that, I'm declaring two date variables, d1 comma d2. Okay, and okay, this is class declaration concept. Okay, here whatever you want you can declare. All these variables you can only use in instance methods. Suppose if we have a static method inside your class, you cannot use it, definitely, these variables. So we need to define in that particular method, uh, especially separately. Now I'm taking a override method. Go to the insert override method. I'm taking a method called dialog. Okay, taking a method called dialog. This method is used to construct dialog box UI, user interface. Okay, now here the syntax of your dialog is public object, return type is object. So first of all, I'm going to defining my dialog box object dialog dlg equal to here I will write super, because why I am writing super, and here how I have written dialog DLG equal to new dialog. Always the class will be the class constructor, the class object will be defined like this, dialog DLG equal to new dialog. But here I have defined my constructor dialog DLG equal to super, because if you observe something, what is this? What is this word? I mean, what is that dialog? It is a method name. It is a method name. Am I right? Always public return type. Public means prototype. Syntax. I'm talking about syntax. Prototype, return type, method name.
Yeah.
That is one method syntax. So
Yeah.
in the method name, what is the word is there? Dialog, right?
Yeah.
And here, what is this? What is this word here?
Dialog.
Class.
It is a class. It is a class. This is method name and it is a class name. Now, in a particular method, I'm defining a particular class. If the method name and class name are the same, so you need to define your constructor like this. If the method is different, for example, this method name is some XYZ, then dialog DLG equal to write down new dialog. That is the way you need to define your object for the dialog. But here, the method name and the class name are the same. So I'm
Yeah,
calling
is it not too sensitive? The name?
this name, this particular method is coming from the run base class. Am I right? This
Yeah.
method,
Are we basically overriding the class, we mean to say?
overriding the method.
Yeah. Overriding the system defined method.
Overriding the method of run base.
Yeah, means after compilation of the code, whenever this dialog method is calling inside the code, everywhere this method will be overridden.
Yes. So every time we are calling the super functionality, we are calling the super functionality, and we are storing in the dialog DLG object. Because if you understand here the simple concept of inheritance, and this is your method name, this is your class name. I'm creating an object for the class. Normally, how we will write dialog DLG equal to new dialog, basically. But here we should call the super functionality of that particular class, because we are already writing this piece of code in the same method itself, the same name. So we need to call the super functionality here. Now, whatever the user interface code already I have written here, everything I am copying from here and I'm pasting in the, let me copy the code and I'm pasting here in the dialog method itself. That's it. Okay.
So it can be any method, but it's always be DLG only, right? So the naming should be always DLG, right?
No, you can define your own name. I don't mind it. Here I have given a meaningful name, dialog DLG. That's it. Or else you can define underscore DLG or underscore something like whatever it is you want. But I have defined like this, DLG.
Yeah.
This is object, right? No need to. We don't have any constraints or rules for this. Okay. You just simply define like small dialogue, something like whatever it is, no problem. Just
And so
whatever the object you have written, you just use that object name everywhere.
Yeah. So what this means that this is called after the super or before the super? All this caption, all the fields which we add below. So they'll be calling before the super or after the super?
After only, because we are acquiring the original functionality into DLG, right? After that, we need to define everything. First, we need to call the super functionality, and then you need to write the remaining rest of the code. Then only the dialog box will construct. Otherwise, it will not construct. If you are writing everything after the super, before super. Now I'm returning the return type is object, right? The return type is object. So what is the object in this particular code? This is your object. So I'm returning return DLG. That's it. So now I have written user interface code in dialog method.
Arjun, I have started recording.
Yes. Okay, my user interface related code I have done. Now
No?
I'm recording the session. Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
Now the next method, already user interface related code, everything I have written in this dialog method. Now I'm writing one more method, public. No, I'm taking from the override method. Right click, insert override method. There is a method called get from dialog. This is really optional, but I'm taking here. Okay, get from dialog. This method is used to get values from controls. I mean, in the dialog box, we have all these fields like a date field, like a status field, to date field, a description field, salary field, gender field, employee ID, everything we have. This particular from date, if I want to get the from date value, I need to write df1 dot value. Am I right? To get the exact value of a from date, we need to write df1 dot value. Df1 is a reference of this field. If you want to get the value of the field, you need to write df1 dot value. If you want to get the value of status, df chk dot value, df6 dot value. If you want to get the core value of the control. Now what I'm doing here in the get from dialog, already I have written d1 d2 here, which is related to date. Now d1 equal to df1 dot value. Simply I'm storing in d1 d2 equal to df2 dot value. Now I will return true. Of course, it is optional. Whenever you require to write a value of from date, you just write df1 dot value directly. But now I will write d1 directly. I'm simplifying the code. So directly from date value available in d1, to date value available in d2 directly. I can use d1 and d2 simply instead of writing df1 dot value, df2 dot value. Okay, for example, if you want to get the checkbox value, you need to define boolean variable, boolean chk value, checkbox value, something like value. Now here chk value equal to, what is the checkbox? Checkbox is df chk, right? Df chk dot value, something like.
What does this get from dialog method do?
That's what we are acquiring, the core values, and we are storing in a variables.
Okay.
now these variables I will use wherever I required, whenever I required. That's it, simply. Normally in this code we have written like this, right? df1 dot value, df2 dot value. Instead of df1 dot value, now I will write d1. Instead of df chk dot value, I will write chk value directly.
Yeah.
I'm simplifying the code. That's it. Nothing is there.
Oh,
That's what I told you. This is optional. This method is writing this method in this particular class. It is optional, really not required. But we have an option here. You can also simplify your code by capturing all the values into the particular variables, and you can use it wherever you require.
so we can first we generally, when we are doing something, first we'll declare the variables, right? So first we
Right?
should write get from dialog form.
That's what I have written here.
Yeah.
That's what I have written here, and I'm using here. This is get from dialog method, and this one is dialog method. Now I'm writing a run method to execute the business logic. Now I'm taking override method, and there is a method called run. Okay, get the run method, and this method is used to run the core business logic. I mean, out of the box, exactly what exactly you want to get the output. That output I have written, I mean, the core business logic I have written like this, right? So first of all, we need to declare emp table here. In this run method, super will not work, so that I'm deleting emp table, emp loc, and here, if you want it, you can declare this emp table at class declaration level, even if you want. Okay. Now I'm copying the code from here and I'm pasting in here. Now just tell me, instead of df1 dot value, I will write
D1.
d1 directly. Okay, this is d2. Now this is a check value, right? chk value, this one. Now gender, I have not written anything, so that's what I need to use anyway, df5 dot value directly. Now here d1, d2, that's it.
So this is the best practice, right? So
Yes, of course. Everybody can understand, right, easily. The values are available in a particular variables, and then I can use it everywhere simply, instead of writing df1 dot value, df2 dot value. So it's a simple thing. I'm simplifying the code. That is the reason we have a get from dialog method is there. Get from dialog method. Now I have written run method to run my business logic. Now to execute this class, we required to write main method, public void
main
public
static
static void
void
write
main
down the main method here using the
max,
args, anything you just define here, and now first of all we need to define the object for our class. I'm copying the new sample dlg class name, pasting here, new sample dlg class object. Okay, you just something like a new sample dlg class nsdc equal to new. Now if nsdc dot prompt. There is a method called prompt. I mean, when we click on OK button, so first of all, we need to call the run method inside this class. Already run method is available here, right? Run method is available here. So how can we call this run method here? By using object, simply
nsdc dot.
dot run. That's it. Once we call the run method, the business logic will execute. Now it is a runnable class because this class contains main method. Previously, we have written one class, new sample class. In this class, we don't have a main method, so system will not execute this class directly. But this class we can execute it directly. New sample DLG class, I can execute it directly. Now making as a startup object. Now let me execute. We'll see. Now system will prompt the dialog box. Okay. I'm executing through class itself. Now this class, for this class, I can create a menu item and I can attach to the front end application directly.
So
Because
like action menu item, right?
action menu item.
Action menu.
Action menu item. For form, we already created a display menu item previously. Now
Yeah.
this time I create an action menu item and I will integrate in the user interface itself. Now I'm creating an action menu item right now, creating a new item, go to the user interface. Now I'm creating an action menu item, this one. Previously we have created this one and now I'm creating this one, action menu item. The same name I'm giving, new sample class, new, same name I'm giving, new sample DLG class. Okay, same name I'm giving. And go to the object type. Object type is, we need to change the first this one. Object type is class, right? Previously we left this property. We have not changed this property when we are setting form to a menu item. But this time we need to change class and we need to select the class name. New sample DLG class. And must and should, we need to provide the label new sample dialog, new sample dialog, whatever it is. Now already we have taken hrm.extension1, right? Let me open this, and here, okay, simply we just need to drag and drop that particular action menu item. Where is that? Here. Okay, this menu item I will drag and drop here. That's it. Now let me build the project. Okay, let's open the user interface. In tomorrow I'll tell you one more scenario related to classes, which is related to inheritance. This is purely developing a dialog box. Tomorrow I'll tell you about inheritance concept on classes. That is really important for your development. So first I will create a class, and then how to implement those methods in another class, like human resource management. See here, there's a new sample dialog. When you click here, it will open dialog box. Okay.